Good Tuesday. Let's see. Oh, there's a couple of people in. Nice to see you. How you doing? As promised on my Twitter stream, I am joined today by a very unhappy dog. Come on, Turk. There you go. This is Spike, and Spike is just going to pop in for a minute, or as long as I have my treats for him. I wonder how everybody's doing. Oh, I have 0 viewers. Ah, there you go. Isn't that marvelous? Anyway, I'm just going to keep on feeding the dog then until somebody turns up. Nobody's turning up. Oh, no. Here's what it is. Anyway. All right, so here's the dog. Is that good, buddy? You going to have some more? Don't ever say that I didn't hold up my word. And there's my boy. It's my Spiker. He is a toy poodle, or teacup poodle, actually. We think he may have some Bichon mix in him. All right, you want to go see Mama now? Here you go. And he's gone because he's a grumpy old bastard, much like me. So I'm not sure if you know the story behind Spike. We found him 6 years ago. We were never wanting to have a dog, to be honest with you, especially one that we called a yappy little bastard type, of which he is. And one Saturday night, the good lady and myself, we were heading out for dinner, and we saw him running along the side of the street, not far from here. And we're like, oh God, he's running towards the canyons where he would have basically become coyote food, because it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So we stopped, got out the car. He came to us, which was amazing. And he was so friendly, and he was dirty, and he had this blue mohawk, and he wanted to give kisses. We were like, okay, well, we're going to drive around, see if anybody's missing him. And nobody was. So we went down to the pet store, picked up some supplies, took him home, gave him a bath. Like I said, he was absolutely filthy. And the plan was, we've got these cats. We can't have a dog. What we're going to do is we'll foster him for a little while and then put him up for adoption. It was 6 years ago. Almost 7 years ago now. And it was just as well, because those of you who don't know the full story behind my brush with death and my heart attack, when I had that heart attack, the big widowmaker, Spike is the one who got my wife's attention, because I was in my games room, not this particular one, the old games room, which was in the room next door. And he's the guy who, he's the little bugger who saved me and, got Shauna to save me. So he got her attention. She came in, did the CPR, called the ambulance and the paramedics. And without him and without her, I wouldn't be here. So yes, things work out in the bizarrest of ways. Obviously now he's a spoiled little so-and-so. Whatever he wants, he gets. Because I owe him my life. Anyway, how y'all doing? Are we having a good Tuesday? Thank you for joining. I know not everybody can, because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. I know obviously some of my Euro peeps are in. How you doing? East Coasters, what's occurring? If you're on lockdown like me, what else are you going to be doing? Working? You're sitting there in your sweatpants. Admit it. So, today's show, bit of a departure. I'm going to talk, I did touch on this last time, but I am going to, oh my God, I just saw Mustang Lippy. All right, so one of my oldest friends in America is actually joined the show. And Mustang Lippy is the nickname I gave her all those years ago, because she's used to drive a Mustang, and she's awesome. Anywho, yeah, I talked a little bit about football last week, soccer, and had some banter with Raypad TV. And we will talk about that in a minute, because my boys were atrocious, his boys weren't, and we got spanked at home by Man City. Before we get there, some very cool geek news. I love I don't know if you know, there's this company called Geeky Tikis, who make the most awesome geek inspired tiki mugs. And about 2 years ago, my wife and I were in Palm Springs at a tiki bar, and they had C3PO and Boba Fett, I think it was, behind the bar for sale, these tiki mugs. And it was like, oh my God, this is the coolest frigging thing ever. We have to buy them. And so we did. We brought them home because we like a good tiki drink, and these things were just so cool. And then one night we were drinking and we were on the internet. Bad combination. And we found the rest of the Geeky Tiki Star Wars set. Now, obviously, we couldn't get all of them because some are very limited edition, but we did buy a bunch. And in fact, I will show you one. Hold on. This one is one of my favorites. It's Han Solo in Carbonite. It's a bloody huge one, as you can see. But yeah, we've got probably about 10, 15 of these now. Obviously, some we're still looking for. Like there's a big punch bowl. That's the Millennium Falcon. We've been trying to get that for a couple of years. It was a Star Wars Celebration exclusive. Really hard to get. People are scalping it on eBay. But this year, for Star Wars Celebration, they did a limited edition again, and this time I managed to get it. And it's in honor of the 40th, I think it is, anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. Now, how cool is that? That there is your AT-AT, not your AT-AT. It's a punch bowl, holds 40 fluid ounces of awesome tiki goodness. And that arrived today. And obviously, nowadays, if I am going to buy anything Star Wars, it's not just the old school stuff. Forget the latest trilogy, forget the prequel trilogy. If you're going to have Star Wars, you got to have Mando, and you got to have Grogu, or Gogut, as I like to call him. And so there we bought these. These were, like I said, one was a Star Wars Celebration exclusive. The other one I just saw and bought, and I knew it was going to be sold out. So at some point, I will probably show. I'll take a picture and show all of the tiki drinks, the tiki mugs. But it's so much fun. Actually, half of them I think are in storage, packed away because we don't have space for them. But maybe one day I will open a tiki bar and put all these things behind the bar and not let anybody drink from them, because when people are drunk, they're absolute arseholes and they smash it. So nobody's smashing my Star Wars stuff. Okay, so yes, Geeky Tiki, look them up. Their stuff is amazing. I mean, they do, I think they do Star Trek. They do a bunch of others. I think Battlestar Galactica, a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I don't think they do Doctor Who yet, because if they do a TARDIS one, obviously I'm going to freak out over that. So, yeah. Hold on one second. Hey, Mush, can you close the door, please? Okay, sorry. Again, people come by. Very annoying. All right. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about, first of all, I'm going to talk about rugby. Rugby to America. So American people, there was obviously a few sporting events this weekend. The ones that matter to me: English Premier League, Manchester City versus Liverpool, the Six Nations. We had Italy play France, Scotland visit England, and Wales hosted Ireland. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those. I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl because I've been in this country 21 years and I have tried and I've tried and I've tried and I just can't get into your sports. Oh, I mean, I love how cocky and bold Americans are in that they looked at all the other sports in the world, like rugby, soccer, etc., and said, oh, we're a bit shit at those. We don't want to play those. We're going to invent our own. Kudos. I mean, that takes major balls and confidence. So fair dues to you, which you did. And, you looked at, you looked at rounders, which is a game played by girls in school in the UK. Maybe it's played by boys as well now, but back in the day it was played by girls. And you thought, oh, we can turn that into baseball. And then you looked at soccer and you thought, I don't want to kick that with my foot. I want to bounce it. And you turned that into basketball, which is the only remotely tolerable version of a remotely tolerable American sport I can watch, by the way. I've been to see the Lakers. I've been to see the Golden State Warriors. It's at least moderately entertaining. And then, of course, you looked at rugby and said, oh, rugby, what? No, we're not going to go and do that without helmets and pads and everything. We're going to put pads on it. We're going to throw it forward. We're going to have a break every 5 seconds for commercials and a cup of coffee or Gatorade. And there you go. You made three sports that, hey, rest of the world seems to enjoy. Not my cup of tea. Let's talk first of all about rugby, which is basically American football for people who aren't wusses. And I'm kidding. I know that American football players, NFL players, a lot of them, supreme athletes. They work very, very hard. Um, but yes, rugby. Rugby is the game of Wales, my country. We're not always very good at it. It's generally in patches. And this weekend, the Six Nations kicked off, which is the European Championship, if you will. Last year, it was won by England, but the year before, it was won by Wales. And we have won quite a few. I think we've won 3 or 4 over the last decade, including a couple of Grand Slams where you beat everybody, which is so. Yeah. First of all, I want to talk about Scotland v Ireland, or Scotland v England, because England. Anybody from the Celtic nations will tell you we hate England. We hate the English rugby team. We just do. They've got 10 times as many players as we have. They are arrogant as FUCK, and we fucking hate them. And I got to say, Scotland kicked ass. Scotland turned up at Twickenham in London for the first time since 1983. They turned England over. And not only did they turn England over, they beat them like a drum. I mean, the scoreline wasn't exactly emphatic, but I have never seen England play so badly at home. And Scotland were amazing. And I got to say, mad kudos got me off to a really good mood on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we had Wales versus Ireland, the battle of the Celtic nations. And for some reason, Ireland seems to hate Wales more than anybody else. I don't know why. All last week, we had the Irish pundits talking nothing but shit. I mean, really bad. I'll get into banter in a minute, because there's nothing wrong with a bit of bant, when you're just talking to each other, winding each other up, having a bit of a laugh. But this was some serious American level shit talking that was just rude and offensive. Basically, it was the TMZ of sports banter. It wasn't fun at all. And, Ireland have a really good rugby team, and a lot of, people respect them. I respect their team. Some of their fans can be a bit of a dick. Their media, total dicks. But you got to respect Ireland. And they turned up, and I expected to be beaten. I expected Wales to lose. But we didn't. And that is because I think in the first 10 minutes, one of the Irish players, who has got previous for being a dirty bastard, no matter what any Irish supporter or other player or pundit will say, that player is a dirty fucker. Has been. He elbowed somebody in the head in front of the referee. He should be banned for the rest of the season. It's probably, I think, his 3rd or 4th time he's done that particular thing. Shouldn't be allowed to be playing rugby, and you shouldn't be fucking picking him. That's it. End of story. So they were a man down for almost an hour, and Wales struggled to put them away because Ireland are a great team, and they stepped up, and Wales did not play well. We haven't played well for probably about 18 months now, not since we got the semi-finals of the World Cup. Something Ireland have never done, in fact. That's a bit of banter, just a bit of banter. Nothing serious, just a bit of a joke. So yes, that put me in a good mood on Sunday morning. So I was like, oh wow, 2 great results. England were beaten, hurrah! Ireland were beaten by Wales, hurrah! Now, we got Scotland next weekend, and they're probably going to wipe the floor with us because we're going up to Murrayfield. And deservedly so. They're a great team. I really want Scotland to do well this year. And then we got to a black hole on Sunday, which was Liverpool versus Manchester City. And oh my God, and bear with me a sec. I've got to find a post because Raypad actually asked me a very cool question on Facebook just now. We were talking about footy, but yes, I got to say, Man City, hold my hands up, going to be champions this season. Great form. Our goalkeeper, 2 horrendous howlers, but the loss was coming long before that. We're out of form. We have too many players missing with injury, and we're just not playing well. And Manchester City are playing well. Our best hope is that we can get on a run and get to maybe second, because finishing behind Manchester City is no great shame, because they are a great team full of great players managed by a great manager. We won't talk about the human rights abuses perpetrated by their owners, but what we have to do is we can't finish behind Manchester United. Hate Manchester United. I'd rather finish behind Leicester than Manchester United. But anyway, Ray, and then we're going to talk footy. And again, I know we're only down to 16 viewers. It is what it is. I'm going to bore the shit out of some people, but I know there's a lot of Liverpool supporters here. And look, anybody who is asking questions right now, I'm not really looking at those because I'm going to be going back and forth. I will take questions at the end. So keep them in your mind. Do you go for a major or minor retool for next season? Obviously, we're a very different team with Virgil van Dijk at the back, who is obviously our star centre back and is injured, and with Fabinho and Jordan Henderson in midfield. So this is the issue. We have lost all our centre backs, and anybody who doesn't know soccer, like defensive linchpins, all three gone. Two of them within 3 weeks of each other back in October. The other one we've lost for the season a couple of weeks ago. So we didn't buy replacements when we could, had them ready to go January 1st. And it's cost us because we've been playing players out of position. We also have been going at such a high level for 3 years that we haven't really reinforced the squad with quality all the way through. We have a couple of players in certain positions where we are strong. I mean, our midfield's been pretty strong. Our fullbacks not so strong, but we haven't had any variety, and they've tried to change that this season. They bought in a couple of players, Thiago Alcantara and Diogo Jota came in, and they're great, world-class players, absolutely. The problem is we've got too much dead weight, and I think Liverpool needs to get rid of at least 6 players. And these are the players who have to go at the end of the season, in my opinion. First of all, Adrian, backup goalkeeper. We just don't need him anymore. He's had some good games for us, but he's back up. And in Kelleher, we've got a great young prospect coming through. Joel Matip, I think if we can get an offer for him, he's too injury prone. Great guy, great player, but we just can't carry him anymore. Naby Keita, great midfielder when he's fit. He has not been fit. He's probably missed 2/3 of his games since he signed for us. We have to offload him. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, another great player, really unlucky with injuries, not the player he was, doesn't bring anything really different to the team anymore. He needs to go. And on to the big question, who else? Divock Origi scored the second goal in the Cup, in the European Cup final. Great man, great player. Love him. Piece of folklore. Not doing it, not good enough. We need to sell him and replace him with somebody stronger. And then of the front three, we've got Bobby Firmino, we've got Mohamed Salah, and we've got Sadio Mane. And I think Sadio Mane is going to leave. I don't think Salah's going to leave. I think he is really happy at Liverpool. He is the undisputed top dog. And I think Mane feels slighted by that. Which he should to a certain degree, because the two of them have just been indispensable for 3 years. They've been amazing. But I think Sadio Mane will go to either Real Madrid or Barcelona for a big money move this summer. So hopefully that'll free up some money for us to sign Haaland, who is the Norwegian striker. I believe he's from Norway, who is a great, great player. He is playing for... is he playing for Leipzig? I think he's playing for Leipzig. And RB Leipzig. And yes, I'd love to see him play for Liverpool, and I think he would be great. I think we need another midfielder, and I think we need 2 centre-backs, because I also think Joe Gomez is too injury-prone to really manage. He's had a really rough time of it. So, yes, I think 6 players out, probably 5 players in. We've got to get away with from the dead weight, and we've got to get some new quality players in. Look, I love Sadio Mane, but he just doesn't seem happy. He does not seem happy at Liverpool all season. And like I said, we have not played very well all season, to be honest with you. We had that 7-2 at Aston Villa, which was atrocious. And then we lost to Southampton and Burnley and obviously Man City. and Brighton. I mean, and no offense to Aston Villa, Southampton, Burnley, and Brighton, but the league champions should not be losing to these teams. Um, and again, a lot of it's down to injuries. A lot of it's down to injuries. Dortmund. Haaland is playing for Borussia Dortmund. So yes, love to get him coming to play. He's a totally different type of striker. Can feed off the crosses we ping into the box, and would actually offer something new and a new direction. And the other thing that we need, I think, at Liverpool. I have got nothing but love and respect for Jurgen Klopp. I mean, he has basically taken us to the promised land: European Cup finals, European Cups, Super Cups, World Club Championship, and of course, the first league title in 30 years. And my only thing is that I wish tactically, formation wise, we could be a little more flexible. The 4-3-3 works well when teams play attacking against us, but this low block doesn't, which so many teams actually now play with, doesn't work, especially when we're as injured at centre back and we're missing Hendo and Fab in midfield. Do we need French league players? Well, Kylian Mbappe, he could come if we could afford him. But for that, we've got to be in the Champions League next season. So anyway, all right. God, powered through there. 20 minutes of conversation already. Let's just pause for a second. Take a breath. Have a cup of tea. All right. Now for something completely different and a little bit more serious. Let's talk about cancel culture. Ooh, that's a buzzword, isn't it? A buzz phrase. Right now, there's a lot of stuff being cancelled for the wrong reasons, and a lot of stuff people getting upset for without thinking about it. And there's a lot of shit out there that shouldn't be allowed, because nowadays we are supposed to be more advanced and more understanding and more inclusive and more diverse as a species. And we do have bunches of dickbags who think they live in 1960 and can get away with stupid shit. Those people, we need to cancel. The fact that most of them are politicians, cancel them even more so. But I saw some comments last week about a movie called Grease. Now, Grease is the word. If you know it, you'll know. If you know the movie, you'll know that that is the phrase from the title song. But it's a 1970s musical that was on hit on the stage, and then in mid 70s was turned into a movie with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. And it was a huge success. One of the biggest musical movies of all time, I think. Certainly bigger than Cats. Now, you want to talk about something that should have been cancelled? Cats. Um, and it gets shown every year in the UK at Christmas, no matter what. Like I said, I talked about last week, I think, with the Carry On films. It is shown without fail. And so every year there's a new audience that's being exposed to it. And this year, a lot of people complained. A lot of people complained because there are some lyrics in some of the songs. The song Summer Lovin', where it's a boy and a girl singing about their first love and what they did at the beach, and the guy and the girl, they met each other. And there's a line saying, "Did she put up a fight?" Now, obviously, that's got sexual abuse connotations. And I'm not saying it's right. What I'm going to say is, people who are looking at these and getting fully offended and saying these things should be destroyed, never shown again, blah, 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 slow your roll. These are products of a different time. They are time capsule products. And just like Gone with the Wind and a lot of other movies over the years, Breakfast at Tiffany's, that's another one where there are offensive parts of it, and some of it's very offensive. We don't need to cancel and stop these things from being shown. We need to explain to people that there are lines in the movie that people will find offensive. HBO pulled Gone with the Wind from HBO Max and then reissued it or put it back on the streaming service with a caveat and a panel discussion about why the movie was important and what it tackled and what we need to take away from it, especially the racist elements. And it's phenomenally racist in a lot of ways. And this is where, like I said, this is where we need to look at things and realize that if we annex these things off and never show them and never discuss them, and they are cancelled and they are gone, we are not going to learn from those mistakes. They were different times. The 70s was a different time. This was a movie filmed in the 70s from a play from the early 70s about the 1950s, which are totally different times to today. I mean, obviously, the 2020, 1950, 2021, 1950. But I mean, socially, it was a more discriminatory time. It was a more sexist time. It wasn't good to be a person of color. It wasn't good to be a woman who wanted to be in business or think for herself. Women expectations of women were phenomenally low, and again, that's unacceptable. And I think we need to see these things. And I think, I grew up watching these movies, and I listen to those lines, and now I'm like, okay, that's not right. But that's because I have grown and changed over the years, and now I know that that line isn't right. But it doesn't stop my enjoyment of the fun bits of the film, but it does make me think about what has gone on in the past. And this is why I have an issue with a lot of cancel culture. Like I said, a lot of people deservedly cancelled. I'll push the button myself. But when it comes to a lot of things like this, we need to keep them around. We need to have the discussions about them, because they're also great ways, if we discuss properly, to bring older generations, and I'm talking about older than me, because I'm 50, but there's people who are even older, God forbid, who will basically hear the words, oh, that's offensive, and not think why. They'll automatically get their backs up. And we need to have the conversations with them, because those are the ones who are, again, products of their generation, products of their upbringing, products of the climate in which they were raised. And they're not necessarily bad people. Not all of them. You have wankers, you have fucking assholes who revel in it, and they deserve everything they get. But a lot of people, if you have the conversations with them, they'll go, okay, so now I get your point of view. I see your point of view. I understand it and I understand why you're upset. And you need to understand why I perhaps wasn't as upset, because I wasn't thinking of it that way. And it's not because necessarily I'm a bad person. It's because, again, product of my generation, I only hang out with the other 70 and 80-year-olds. We don't get on the internet. We don't get on Twitter and Snapchat and whatever else people are using. Clubhouse is the new one. I'm on Clubhouse. If you have an invite, follow me, Marcus Beer. So cancel culture is not a good thing in a lot of ways. It is in some, and I know, hey, oh, look at me on the fence. Let me check my asshole, see if I've got any splinters in it. There's some stuff out there that needs to be cancelled. There's some stuff out there that should never be. The stuff that needs to be cancelled is stuff that is being perpetrated today by people who want to be sexist, misogynist, racist, ageist, whatever you want to say, whatever ist is out there, transphobic, homophobic. Those are the people who need to be cancelled, because they're pulling that shit today and reveling in. I mean, you look at one of the most popular podcasts in the world, you look at Joe Rogan. He should not be famous. Donald Trump should never have been famous. Donald Trump should never have been fucking president. Happy impeachment day 2, by the way. Fuck the Boogaloos. There you go. I'll probably get doxxed for that one. Kevin Smith writing, yes. I used to love the Kevin Smith movies, and I do to a certain degree again. I mean, he had a heart attack a year after me. Copycat. But again, with the same age, I think a lot of his stuff is good, but some of it does not stand the test of time. I watched Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back a couple of weeks ago. Does not fucking stand the test of time. Dogma, however, still does. Hard to find Dogma on any streaming service or on Blu-ray or DVD, by the way, because thanks to a certain person who ran Miramax, that movie is now floating in licensed hell. Who knows? Who nobody knows. But again, a person who should have been cancelled 20, 30 years ago is the guy who ran Miramax, and now he's in jail. So those who perpetrate the bullshit today, they need to be cancelled. Whether they're on a podcast, whether they're on a TV show, whether on a screen, writing a book. And people will say, oh, I got my right to free speech. Free speech Is it right? Hate speech isn't. You want to be a dick about shit. I mean, an obnoxious, racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic shit about things. And you say stuff just to be incendiary, you need to be cancelled. Because free speech is a good thing. Because in that we know who the fucking assholes are. But it doesn't mean we have to put up with them. There has to be consequences for what you say. And then going back again to the cancel culture of the with regards to things in the past, try to look at some of these things from both sides. Breakfast and Tiffany's, very entertaining movie, but there's a horrific yellow face portrayal of an Asian American that actually kind of ruins the film in a lot of ways. But you have to think about it, you have to see it, and you have to understand that people thought this was fine back in the 50s and the 60s. And thank God a lot of people, most decent, well, every decent person thinks this isn't right now. So yeah, wow, I just plowed through all my topics in like 30 minutes. All right, talk amongst yourselves. Okay, let me go through some. All right, it is question time now. If I yeah, come at me, bring me questions. Look, Joe Rogan, the fact that he is again stand-up comic. Like, I tweeted out something this morning. Craig Ferguson, he was talking about the Britney Spears. It was actually a clip from his show back in the early 2000s when Britney Spears was having her meltdown, and she was ill. She was ill. She was getting abuse. She was, she'd shaved her head. She had a nervous breakdown, poor kid. And he was talking about how everybody was dogpiling on. He didn't use the word dogpile because it wasn't, in the vernacular then. But he said that and in essence, and I'm sort of like paraphrasing here, what he has said and what most really good comics will tell you, and I consider Joe Rogan not to be a good comic, is that you punch up with your targets in comedy. Your comedy jokes should not make targets of those who are the weakest among us, the ones who are, and I'm not saying weakest as in, oh, you got to pity them, bullying. I mean, I'm talking about the ones who are being harassed, who are targets, who have targets on their backs, who are being abused, given grief. And you cannot do that. Not if you're a good comedian. I'm not a good comedian. I've tried doing the stand-up thing. I'm occasionally funny, but you've got to tackle the fuckers high up, the ones who are doing making money. Those are the ones who are rife to have the shit kicked out of them. My phone. Sorry about this. My watch is just spazzing because I forgot to turn my Ring notifications off. So yeah, I shared that on my Twitter this morning. It's a great clip by Craig Ferguson because obviously the Britney Spears documentary came out last Friday. I haven't seen it yet, but it does talk about the way she is treated, especially how the media vilified her for the breakup with Justin Timberlake, where Justin Timberlake was a bit of a dick. In fact, he was more of a bit of a dick. He was a fucking prick about it. And everybody talks about Justin Timberlake and how he's so cool and this and the other. And yes, he's incredibly talented, but he was a monumental prick with his Crimea River and, oh, look at me, I was the wrong man and blah, blah. And everybody bought into it and everybody picked on this poor woman, driving her to a nervous breakdown. And, this was not long after Anna Nicole Smith had been, committed suicide from an overdose. Again, she'd been a example of humor and a target, the butt of many a joke. When I was in the UK a year ago, a reality TV show presenter had just committed suicide over Christmas. And, she'd been bullied online. It's not right. It is just not fucking right. I don't like bullies at the best of times. I was bullied as a kid in school. Everybody was. Most people were. And, you have to get through it. But countries in, not countries, systems that encourage and endorse bullying need to be broken down. In Britain, we have the old school network, the old boys network. Oh, yes, went to Oxford, went to Eton, went to Cambridge. You know, Papa's owns this, that, and the other. He's the 14th Earl of my fart. And therefore, I've got this job in television now, even though I have no fucking talent whatsoever. In America, it's a jock system. You know, oh, let's pick on the kids in math class, math or science club, or the debate club, or basically the ones who are actually the decent future of this country, and let's pick on them and give them shit and give a total pass to the ones who, you know, are going after to try to be, all they can do is play football. All they can do is play basketball, whatever. And look, again, if you've got a talent in it, good luck to you. If you've got a talent to it, but there's no way you should be allowed to get away with bullying people. There's no, because you bounce a ball or throw a ball. There's no way that you should be earning 30, 40, $50 million a season while people who busted their ass to get through fucking teaching school have to go and buy their own supplies because the educational system is so busted. We've got it ass backwards on this planet, ass backwards in this country in particular. And now I'm getting off of being all political. And it's again, filthy fucking socialist. If you throw, bounce, catch, hit a ball for a living, and you make $100 million out of it, well, guess what? I want the tax man to take 60 million of that. And if you own a sports franchise, your profits? Well, I know you don't pay your regular staff, your event staff, that much. You barely pay them minimum wage because they get to work for the Lakers, the Mets, the Giants, the Green Bay Packers, whoever. And I have a problem with that. And I think all these people who own sports franchises need to be held accountable. They need to be taken to task, and they need to be hit in the pocket. Especially here in the US, where it's, we're going to take our team elsewhere now. Why? Because you won't pay to build us a stadium. If you want to play in a fucking stadium, build it yourself. If you want to make all this money and charge all this money, and the NFL and NBA and the football teams, soccer teams as well, if you want to make all this money off fucking jerseys and shit, you have to pay your fair way. You have to pay your taxes. You know what else doesn't pay taxes? Disneyland here in California. They have a deal with the city of Anaheim, which means that they have not paid, I think, property taxes in a very long time. And they don't pay their staff very much money. And then they had the temerity to fire them over COVID because, we're not making enough money and we can't afford to have our big shareholders paying them dividends and shit like that. And I'm going to totally fucking socialist rant now. I've got no problem with people earning money. I've got no problem with people working hard, being the best they can be, and earning a tidy amount of money. But when the only people to have profited out of the pandemic are the billionaires who have earned, I think, a combined $1 trillion plus, it might even be more since the start of the pandemic, the Bezoses of this world, the Elon Musks of this world, etc., etc., that shit's got to stop. That shit could wipe out the deficit. That shit could pay for every American to stay home during a pandemic, and we could have knocked this pandemic out of the park. But no, we're not allowed to do that. All we're supposed to do is give these people tax breaks, because the money they spend then trickles down. Even though it's been disproven that trickle-down economics works, anybody who is a billionaire or a multimillionaire, they take their money and they shuttle it offshore to Switzerland or to the Bahamas, some tax shelter. The only people who are keeping the economy afloat are the people who work and live paycheck to paycheck, because their money is going straight back into the economy because they have to. And that's fucked up. Okay. Boom, boom. All right. All right, let's go. Yeah, and there you go. Janet Jackson gets cancelled for Justin Timberlake ripping her top off, and he gets off scot-free. Fuck Justin Timberlake. I met him. No, I say met him. I walked past him once at a Wii, was it a Nintendo Wii party that I got invited to, some swanky place. And I gotta say, he's a fucking midget. He's fucking tiny. And now he's trying to do all these movies to prove he's an actor. He can't act for shit. Stick to the Mickey Mouse Club, motherfucker. And there's a caption, there's a quote and a clip that somebody is going to go, "Dear Justin Timberlake, stick to the Mickey Mouse Club, motherfucker." All right. Let's go. Let's look at some questions. Yes, the Slayer, the interning system. The only people who can afford to be interns are ones with rich parents or parents that can afford to actually take care of them. Fucking ridiculous. Because they're the only ones then who end up with the higher powered jobs because they've got the in, they get the experience. Whereas the people who are working their asses 2 or 3 jobs to get through college, they get hosed. Interning sucks as well. What do I think about Liverpool versus Leipzig in Budapest? I think it's pointless to have sent it to fucking Budapest. They might as well have just played one leg at Anfield, get it done, out the way. That's it. I mean, there's no fans, there's no home advantage. One off game, get it done. Liverpool will probably get knocked out anyway. So let's just get it over and done with. That's it. 0 hour contracts, absolutely. So interesting here in California. This thing passed last year called AB5 or year before last, AB5, which basically was meant initially to take out the likes of Uber, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Lyft, etc., 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 and these 0 hour contracts and the gig culture, which is not necessarily a bad thing because people need to because again in America there's no fucking healthcare, so there's no safety net. And it was meant to say you need to count these people as employees and you need to start giving them healthcare and lots of other things. And considering Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, etc., are making money hand over fist. I mean, did anybody see that Super Bowl ad with fucking Wayne and Garth and Cardi B for Uber Eats? Talk about hypocritical. Fucking hypocritical. I mean, this is a company that basically doesn't pay its staff, takes a whole lot of the money, leaving them with practically nothing, and also fucks the restaurants that they claim to want to support. Don't ever order DoorDash. Don't ever order Uber Eats. If you are ordering some deliveries for your food, get the restaurant to deliver it if they offer that. Otherwise, just go and pick up contactless takeout. That's it. Don't fucking go with Uber Eats. Don't fucking go with DoorDash. Postmates, they're all the fucking same. Fucking scum. Again, rich bastards in Silicon Valley and in New York on the stock exchange who are making money hand over fist over the slavery, the practical slavery of people working to keep their heads just above water. Shouldn't be allowed. And I got to say, this is where the GameSpot stop thing, and we talked about this last week, has always been fun. I love anything that's going to take these hedge fund investors and shove a cactus size fuck you up their ass. They're scum. They need to be taxed. They've been getting away with shit for a long, long time. They all need to be lined up against the wall. And as I said last week, use very harsh language. Okay, but this AB5 thing, it got butchered. It became basically, it cancelled the entire consultant industry here in California. It put my wife out of business because she does events and she uses seasonal workers, and she used temporary workers who would turn up, get a certain amount of money for a day's work, and get a 1099 and be sent on their way. Can't do that anymore. Anybody who works now has to be considered to be an employee, even if you work for 4 hours for a company. You get to be an employee, and you have to be pay payroll tax, and you have to get workers' comp. And I'll be honest with you, the state of California, I used to love this place. And the wife and I are looking to move. We're going to get out of California. We're looking to move east. We may go to Vermont. We may go to New York City. We may go to New York State. California is, and look, again, me, tangents, it's what I do. State of California does not look after anybody except those with money. This whole reopening with regards to the coronavirus pandemic, is Gavin Newsom bowing to the money. We still the number one place on the planet for fucking COVID-19. We still have practically zero emergency room beds and ICU beds. And yet he's reopened everything because it's all about money. And a lot of it from last year was the federal authorities run by Trump the dickbag did not come through. I mean, like I said before, every death is on Trump's hands. You didn't get Christmas or a birthday party or Thanksgiving or an Easter or whatever, blame Donald Trump. It's his fucking fault. Um, but yeah, the state of California is not a friend to small businesses anymore. It's not a friend to anybody who wants to stay alive. God knows when one will get a vaccine here. I don't know when I'll get a vaccine. I mean, I'm high risk. I'm just going to keep on staying in now and be thankful I've got the capabilities. We're draining our savings left, right, and center. You know, we've really cut back on everything, and we had some money saved, but it's tight. But the alternative is going out and getting sick and dying, and don't really want to do that. So yeah, state of California is also getting hotter because nobody listens to the scientists about the emissions. We're having more wildfires. We've got another drought. We've had like 3 days of rain, I think, since last January, like January in 2020. So the whole thing's going to fucking burn up again at some point. So yeah, the state of California sucks balls, and it's all down to Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti, the mayor of LA, and somebody called Lorena Gonzalez, who is a lawmaker out of San Diego, who is very close, let's say, with the unions and wrote AB5 and didn't write it with small businesses in mind, just wrote it with a view to keep the union paymasters happy. Probably couldn't say any more because I'd probably get sued or something because she's not a nice person. Anyway, all right. What do I think about EA? 72% of EA's income is coming from live services and microtransactions. Well, I mean, and that's not surprising. I mean, it's probably coming from Madden and FIFA. Those are the two big ones. We all know that Anthem hasn't really survived. In fact, I just read this today that Anthem, the future of Anthem, is being decided this week. I think they're gonna sort of like send it to a farm upstate and let it go play with all the other failed MMOs. But yeah, a lot of people spend money on the loot boxes on FIFA and Madden. And look, I have this problem with, again, loot boxes. Anything that you can't guarantee what you're paying for, I have a problem with. If you're going to sell these cards, let people buy the individual fucking cards and not have to spend a fortune on the off chance that they want to get Cristiano Ronaldo in a sky blue purple strip with red polka dots. Let them buy what they want. But of course, there's no money in that. Even though there is money in that, because let's face it, once you've made the fucking thing, you've put the picture on there, and the digital card is produced. It's all profit after that because nothing else needs to be done. But this and games as a service, I fucking hate. Everybody has to have games as a service. Bethesda ruined Fallout with games as a service. Fallout 76, I tried going back into it. I still can't stand it. I'd rather go back to New Vegas. But everything, I mean, look at Avengers and Square Enix. I thought that game was going to be bad the first time I saw it at E3, but then I did actually buy it. I actually got somebody give me a PlayStation gift card, so I went and bought the Avengers game. And it's Tomb Raider reskinned to the Avengers, but not fun. And then you've got this multiplayer grind, and you've got 30,000 different forms of buying stuff. And it's not fun. I mean, honestly, Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch, 1,000 times more fun than Avengers. The Deadpool game on PS fucking 3 or 4, whatever, even though it doesn't have Ryan Reynolds on it, is more fun. The Lego Avengers game is more fun. I was disappointed. I mean, look, I really liked what Crystal Dynamics had done with Tomb Raider and rebooting that franchise. But the second one just felt like more of the same, and Avengers felt like more of the same with different skins. And again, I've said this before on shows and podcasts. I'm going to say it right now. With no offense meant to the extremely talented voice artists who are used, they shouldn't have been used. They should have gone for fucking sound alikes. I'm sorry. There's no point having this A-list of voiceover, video game voiceover talent when everybody on the planet, the number one movie of all time is Avengers Endgame. That's it. No discussion. The box office shows it worldwide. Number one movie of all time, Avengers Endgame. So to 90% of the population, especially those who, you know, are Marvel fans, Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Chris Evans is Captain America. Scarlett Johansson is Wanda Maxim, not Wanda Maximoff, is Natasha Romanoff, and so on and so on and so on. And you should have just gone and got sound alikes, because honestly, every time I played that game, I had to turn the sound off or the voices off. To be honest with you, read the fucking subtitles and imagine in my head that it was the movie characters saying it, because they are enmeshed with those characters. With movies like, if you're doing a Batman game, you can get away with the animated series character actors from for Batman if you can't get the movie ones, because there have been several of those and they are all iconic in their own different ways. But with the Marvel ones, huge misstep. That was just one of the many missteps that I felt Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics took with that particular game. Um, Writing, I mean, Raypad says as Miss Marvel, I will actually say that the writing was actually really quite good, and I did enjoy the character development, and anything that puts Kamala Khan front and center. She's such a great character. Um, you know, I thought she was. I thought, again, we didn't have a frame of reference for that character, so that and the voice of that character, so it really worked. But it was the actual Avengers. The rest of them didn't work. Kamala Khan, great story, great performance, very believable. The rest of it didn't really feel the same. I mean, you look at Into the Spider-Verse, the amazing Sony animated series movie, and Spider Gwen was excellent. Miles Morales, fantastic. I can't wait to see the follow up to that. They, nailed it, and they had multiple Spider-Man, but they sounded different enough, but also they also felt like Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming Part 3, where we've seemed to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. Where it's like, oh, hang on, we've got three Spider-Men in Spider-Man 3, and then we've got the upcoming Flash movie, where we're going to have at least three Batman, maybe more, and a couple of Supermen, and this, that, and the other. It's like, it's battles of the multiverses. Long may it continue. Oh, on the subject of multiversey type stuff, are you watching WandaVision? Last 2 weeks have really picked up the show and got me really interested. I enjoyed the first couple of episodes, but that whole, cheesy, campy comedy thing got a little bit thin by the end of episode 3, which meant that 4 and 5 really needed. That's when they twisted it up a notch or three. And I think the last one in particular, with that really cool ending, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was cool. See, I'm bouncing up and down on my seat. No, I'm just trying to get comfortable because I'm an old man with an old back. But yes, how about that? And if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know, dare I spoil it? Dare I say? Because let's face it, within 10 minutes, every fifth rate fucking internet site was saying, oh, Scarlet Witch's spoiler ending with so and so, so and so. And you're like, oh shit. So he's playing so and so, so and so? Yeah. I'm actually not, I'm not going to discuss it, I think, till Friday, because I'll give you a week to catch up with it. But it was good. It was good. And the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the new trailer for that looks really cool. I like that movie. I like the whole concept of those two. And then what else do we have? We have Loki and Obi-Wan at the end of the year, I think. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So yes, what else? What else did I watch? Oh, all right, Blast from the Past. The Equalizer. The Equalizer debuted on Sunday night here in the US with Queen Latifah as the title character. Now, a lot of people will only know The Equalizer as Denzel Washington in the two movies. But The Equalizer before that was a 1980s TV show with a guy named Edward Woodward, or Eddie Three Planks, as we like to call him in the UK. Great British character actor. Been in a lot of stuff. And I mean, it was totally unrealistic. 'Cause the guy looked like he was in his 50s or 60s then. He was quite a portly gentleman, and he was this fixer. If you're in trouble, it was almost like the A Team, but one of them, one guy with an accent, walking around New York, killing bad guys because people were in trouble and they needed an equalizer. So obviously, they rebooted it with the two Denzel movies, and the first one in particular, that reboot of The Equalizer, loved, absolutely loved, because like it's Denzel, he can do very, very little wrong. I mean, good God, I rewatch Virtuosity every now and again because it's Denzel being Denzel, as in a great fucking actor. Um, Second one, not as good in my opinion, but that's just me. And then we come to the reboot with Queen Latifah. And Queen Latifah, I mean, God, talk about her, she's been around since the 80s, rap icon, one of the, I'm not going to say one of the first, but, one of the first big breakthrough female rap artists who has transitioned then to comedy and acting. She did some things with Steve Martin, Bringing Down the House, I think it was, Last Holiday. She's done a lot of stuff. I wasn't sure how I would take to her as this sort of character. And so I watched the show yesterday. Watched it on Paramount Plus or whatever it's called now. Not bad. Bit of a rough start. Bit formulaic in places, but she's got something about her. Queen Latifah really does have something about her that is just pretty damn amazing. And I'm going to give it a go. Bearing in mind I said the same thing about Hawaii Five O a couple of years ago when that was relaunched, and then got bored stupid by it. I'll probably be bored by the end of the first month of the Equalizer, but as good mindless nostalgia pap TV, can't go wrong. Let me see what else is going on the list. Boom, boom, boom. All right, Hot Florence Pugh. Hot Florence Pugh. Huh? Anyway, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Ray. Question for you: Where you were very vocal about VR, I personally feel it's nowhere near where it needs to be, and even after Sony said nothing about the VR. Oh, VR. Um, I still think VR has a huge future. I think VR has not been supported. I think VR, it will come good. It's too good and too important not to come good. I love things like Beat Saber, and I've got a list. Actually, I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but of travelogues that people have put together in VR of various cities in the world, especially where we're locked down. And I've enjoyed going, putting the VR on and going into virtual cinemas and watching TV shows and watching movies because they schedule them every week, and it's again just something fun, something different. There's a lot of novelty involved, but I dare anyone not to get excited about VR when they've got a flight stick and a throttle here, the VR helmet on, and they're playing Star Wars Squadrons. For example, I mean, obviously the tech needs to get better, the tech needs to get more powerful, but I would love to see CD Projekt work with Oculus to make Cyberpunk VR compatible. Because when I've got a machine as powerful as this one, it can run it in VR mode and take a lot and connect to the piece to the Oculus and take a lot of the processing power away from the Oculus, in my opinion. And that is where we are going. We're still not there. It's the Ready Player One syndrome. We're not there yet. We need, the idea of haptics and force feedback and lighter headsets that are more powerful. They will come. And I just hope I'm alive long enough to actually really enjoy it, because every time I use VR, I used the PlayStation VR for the longest time and had so much fun playing Star Trek game and a couple of other things. But my Oculus Quest, I love it. It just has to get lighter, has to get better, has to get more powerful, and it will. We know it will. Because I mean, Jesus, I remember playing using a VR a very long time ago that felt like 10 packs of fucking potatoes on my head. You need a neck like a linebacker just to be able to lift it up. All right, where are we at now? Have I tried footie in VR? No, I don't think they do it. They've done NBC has the footy, most of the footy here, except ESPN has some of it as well. I don't think they've tried that yet. They'll probably try it more with American football or whatever. Um, but yes, it would be fun to try. There's the virtual stadium experience, whether it be rugby, football, whatever, to be able to look around and be part of it. And just, I mean, the amount of camera angles that you would actually need be quite fucking insane. Um, yeah, these are my VR glasses as well, so they have to go right. Yeah. Um, what else? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Apparently, a couple of people are just having cross conversations. All right, give you some more questions because we're at the hour mark. I'm flagging. What do you want to talk about now? Anything? Yes, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Daredevil were great, and I would love to see them brought into the current MCU. Mm. Okay. Oh, well, there you go. Has everybody left? Are we quiet? Not a question from anybody? All right, I'm going home then. Okay. Well, I don't know what else I've got to talk about. I've got some tiki mugs to unpack and some alcohol. Damn it! I'm having alcohol. I am 9 days into my dry February. Um, it's going okay actually. Obviously, my tikis for my new mugs will be have to be virgin tikis. So there you go. How was doing the show with Shane again? Oh, the 3 night weekend. It was fun. It was fun. I mean, maybe I'll be back at some point. Maybe if this show takes off or this channel takes off, or I don't know, I'll win the lottery. Uh, but yeah, it was fun to catch up with him and shoot the shit, and I was very honored to be his first guest. You can check it out on Sifted 3 night weekend. Shane's tweeted out the link a few times. Don't forget to give him some support. I know he has a Patreon. Um, yeah. Let me see. What else? What do you think about the WB gets patent for the Shadow of War Nemesis system? I thought the Nemesis system had been patented. Oh, hang on. Now I'm going to have to go and type in uh, Nemesis. I know this is fun because is the Nemesis. All right, gamesindustry.biz. Warner Brothers. Yes, all right, accept my cookies. Accept my cookies. Sounds rude. Now, bear with me. I'm going to read and then I'll be right with you. In fact, I might read out what. Get comfortable, pull up a chair, put on your favorite sweater. It's time to read with Uncle Marcus. Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment is issued a patent for the Nemesis AI system, found in the enjoyable Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, and its kind of dull sequel. I'm adding that, by the way. Da, da, da. Oh wow! Okay, that's going to be interesting. If people can, if people can play, so basically, if people copy that system verbatim, they're going to get sued. If they make enough differences, they're not going to get sued. I think it's a fun. The Nemesis system was fun, worked really well, especially in the first one. Second game, oh, it was so disappointing. So many microtransactions again, just felt like a cash cow. And not a fun one. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them patenting if they invented the technology, as long as it's not going to stop anybody else from doing something similar. Nobody wants copycats. Make it a little bit different. We'll all be good. Now the game face from Sifted is being produced remotely. Would I consider going back? Um, Honestly, I just don't think I'm that sort of person anymore. I mean, look, I'm talking about some game stuff here, but I'm talking more about other stuff. I mean, this is more my sort of like stream of consciousness in that I'm talking about sports. I'm talking about movies, TV, politics. I This is the stuff that interests me just as much as games now. more so, I think, especially since I've turned, especially in the last 10 years, I think I've started to really feel I have to be more invested. And if I have a platform, no matter how small it is, I have to be able to stand up and say what I feel is right. And I don't think that Game Face is the right thing for me. I don't think I'm the right thing for Game Face. I think Shane has the show down pat. Him and Matt are just kicking ass. I mean, that show outgrew me a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm not needed on it, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying I won't ever turn up as a guest, but those days, I think that those days are behind me. I mean, video games have been such a huge part of my life. Started playing them when I was 10. Got my first computer at like 13. Um, I took a couple of years off in my late teens because I discovered booze and ladies. And then I got back into computer games and had a PC and started working in the industry on a regular basis. Worked on a store, started writing, did some TV stuff, became a PR guy, moved to the States. And it's been a huge part of my life. I mean, I'm forever going to be entwined with that aspect of the industry. And the industry has changed, especially over the last 5 years since I've sort of like stepped back with things like games as a service, with Twitch, with a lot of other things, esports, stuff that I have no idea. I mean, esports again. I'm in awe of the skill sets of these people. These men and women who are just in their teams. They are executing plays in a game, and it just works so well. And it's mind blowing. Um, but I don't think I can't comment on that anymore because I have no interest in that aspect. If a game comes along like Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed or The Outer Worlds or whatever else is coming next, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, um, I can talk about those because I will invest the time and I will play them and I will. I could talk about the Shadow of Mordor thing because I played a lot of Shadow of Mordor. I actually recently re-downloaded it and played it on the PC. Um, it's still a fucking great game. But I don't feel that the Marcus of 12 years ago, or to 8 years ago, 8, 7, 6, a circa 2015, I think was probably the last time when I started to step away from stuff. Um, that Marcus, isn't really around anymore. I mean, I've been through a lot, a couple of near death experiences. I've been a foster parent. I've seen how bad the system treats foster kids. I've seen how overtaxed the system is. I've seen the impact that things like Facebook and stuff have on basic human decency. I've watched people turn on each other over the most asinine of things. And I've watched bullshit happen. I've watched people totally disregard the safety of others in the last 12 months. And it just, I don't think that Marcus is around anymore. The Marcus who immersed himself in games. Or maybe it's because I'm old. I'm doing this because it's fun to talk to you ladies and gents, and if I can build an audience and I can get better at it, and hopefully generate some revenue out of it down the line, great. But right now, this is actually part of my therapy. In Spike, be quiet, please. Sorry about that. We got somebody at the back door, and Spike's barking like a bastard because he's very excited. He's protecting the house. Um, yeah, this is me. This is part of my ongoing COVID therapy. So anyway, what do I think about Google shutting? I did talk about this last week. I think Google needs some decent leadership. Any updates on the citizenship? Would love for me to vote. Oh, that's going to be a long process. It's a long and it's not a cheap process. So at some point this year, I hopefully will become a American citizen, unless of course me and the wife decide to move to Portugal or Tierra del Fuego or the Falkland Islands or somewhere. Yeah. Next step is figuring out where we're going to go next. I have a hankering to win the lottery and buy a brownstone in New York. I would like to spend 5 or 6 years having one last adventure in New York City, somewhere maybe Brooklyn or something. Um, I've got a lot of friends there. Every time well, not every time I've been, my experiences there have ranged from absolutely amazing with some good friends. I went to the PlayStation 4 announcement there to horrific and terrifying, which was when I was in New York during 9/11. Um, so yeah, I have an affinity with that particular city, and it might be fun for me, circa 50 to 55, 56, having one last adventure before retiring to a farm somewhere and becoming the new Bernie Sanders with my mittens and my face mask and my big coat, sitting there and going, okay, all right, let's get back to the last questions. What do you call an alligator in a vest? I have no idea. What do you call an alligator in a vest? Come on, I have no idea. While we type that out, I'm going to have another drink. All right, wow, blowing past the 110. Thank you so much. Uh, I don't think I can handle more whales. I always thought at some point I'd probably retire back to Wales, but not with Brexit. Horrible decision made by my countrymen. Horrible, horrible decision. And then just reiterated by voting the Conservatives back into power. Turkeys voting for Thanksgiving/Christmas. Yeah, I can't see myself ever going back in anything but a vacation capacity, which sucks because it would be nice to retire and see out my years with my close family around, my sisters and my nephews and my niece, my cousins, but it's not going to happen. Commit a crime and move to the Maldives. Maldives too hot. I've got to go somewhere a little cooler, somewhere with rain and snow and shit. That's why I like Vermont. It's wet and rainy and snowy and the most liberal state in the union. Fantastic. All right, I'm done. An investigator. All right, I'm sorry. That gag was horror. I don't even get it. Nope, don't investigate. Investigator. Okay. All right. Thank you, good people. As always, it's so cool that you turned up. It's so cool that you follow me. It's so cool that you watch this later at a later date. Um, I'll keep on rambling, but not now because I've been going for almost an hour and a quarter. Um, I think I've got to check the schedule. I'll be back on Friday. I may be back before then. Who knows? Till then, ciao. Oh, where's the off button? There it is.